Ever look at the odds and wonder how the sportsbooks always seem to come out ahead, even when you hit a big win? Well, it's not some kind of magic trick, and it's definitely not luck. It's just math, and their entire business boils down to three little letters: VIG. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what the VIG is, how it really works, and most importantly, how knowing about it is going to make you a much, much sharper bettor.
So, let's just jump right in with the question that I guarantee every single bettor has asked themselves. I mean, if they have to pay out winning bets, how is it possible for the house to make money, no matter who actually wins the game?
Well, the secret isn't some crystal ball for picking winners. The real secret is the game behind the game. See, tucked away inside every single bet you place, there's a kind of hidden service fee, a commission that makes sure the bookmaker always has an advantage. It's their guaranteed profit, and it works whether your team wins, loses, or it's a draw.
Now, the official term for this is vigorish, but pretty much nobody calls it that. We all just call it the VIG. The easiest way to think about it is like a service charge. You're basically paying them a tiny fee for the convenience of placing a bet with them. And that small fee is the rock-solid foundation of their whole business.
You've probably heard this called a bunch of different things, and you know what? They all mean the exact same thing. In the US, you'll almost always hear it called the juice. But you'll also hear people talk about the edge, the cut, the margin. It doesn't matter what you call it, it's the bookie's take.
All right, so theory is one thing, but let's actually see how this plays out in the real world. This is where it gets interesting, because the best way to really understand the VIG is to look at a real example and see how it's kind of hiding in plain sight, right there in the odds.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's a massive Champions League match, Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. In a game like this, there are three possible outcomes on the table. Barcelona wins, Bayern Munich wins, or the whole thing ends in a draw.
So, the sportsbook puts out these odds for each of those results. Now, to most people, these just look like payout numbers, right? A simple multiplier for your bet. But what a sharp bettor sees is something else entirely. They see that the bookie's commission, the VIG, is already built right into these numbers.
The bookie's ultimate goal here is to create something they call a balanced book. All that means is they want to take in just the right amount of money on Barcelona, on Bayern, and on the draw. Why? So that no matter what happens in the game, they're guaranteed to pay out less than they took in. Speaking of betting, if you're looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser.
So, let's put on the bookie's hat for a second and actually run the numbers. To make sure they only have to pay out 100 euros in total, they would need to take in exactly 30 euros and 30 cents on a Barcelona win, 25 euros on a draw, and 50 euros on a Bayern Munich win. See how that works? Any one of those results leads to the same 100 euro payout.
And right here, this is the moment where it all clicks. Just add up the bets they took in. That's 105 euros and 30 cents. But remember, no matter who wins, they only have to pay out 100 euros to the winners. So that extra 5 euros and 30 cents, bam, that's their profit, locked in before the first whistle even blows. That is the VIG in action.
And if you calculate that profit as a percentage of all the money that came in, what do you get? 5.3%. That number right there is the VIG for this specific bet. It's the price, the commission they charged everyone for the privilege of playing.
Okay, so if we know the bookie is taking a 5.3% cut, it begs the question, what would the odds look like if they weren't taking that cut? This is what brings us to the really powerful idea of fair odds, the odds that reflect the true probabilities of what might happen.
And listen, this right here, this is what separates the casual bettors from the really sharp ones. When you learn how to look past the odds they're showing you and figure out the fair odds underneath, that's when you can start finding real value. You're not just betting on a team anymore, you're betting on a price.
Just take a look at this comparison. It's night and day. On the left, you've got the odds the bookie is offering you. But on the right, you've got the no VIG odds, the fair price. And what do you notice immediately? The fair odds are always higher. That little gap between the two columns, that's the money the bookmaker is putting straight into their pocket.
So here is the key thing you need to remember. Those no VIG odds represent the real statistical probability of something happening. That means the #1 goal for any serious bettor is to find offered odds that are as close as humanly possible to those true, fair odds. That, my friends, is what we call finding value.
So now that we've pulled back the curtain and you know the bookie's secret, we get to the big question. What can you actually do about it? Let's get into the practical stuff, the actual strategies you can use to fight back and minimize how much the VIG eats into your profits.
Let's be totally honest, you're almost never going to find a bet with zero VIG. It's just the cost of doing business. But the goal isn't to eliminate it. It's to be smart and pay as little of it as you possibly can. That means shopping around for the best price. In fact, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser.
Here are 4 simple but seriously powerful rules to live by. First, avoid those huge parlays or accumulators with tons of legs. You're not just multiplying your potential payout, you're multiplying the VIG with every single bet you add. Second, and this is crucial, always compare the odds between different sportsbooks. The VIG can vary a lot from site to site. Third, try to stick to simpler two-way markets like an over-under because they often have a lower VIG. And finally, keep your eyes peeled for those rare 0% VIG promotions. They're out there.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to simple math. Every fraction of a percent you can save yourself from the VIG is a fraction of a percent that goes directly back into your pocket. It might seem small on one bet, but it adds up to a huge amount over the long run. And don't forget, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser.
So there you have it. The bookie's hidden edge, the VIG, is now completely exposed. Now that you've seen behind the curtain, you can't unsee it. So, the real question is, armed with this knowledge, how are you going to approach your next bet? Because now you know exactly what you're looking for.